Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest virtual event here at the University of California, Merced. My name is Ricky Hill, and I'm an e-recruiter here at UC Merced. Thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to spend with us here. Tonight, we will be discussing the Guardian Scholars Program. This event is part of a larger series that we are calling Become a Bobcat. We have offered over 40 different events live to you, just like this one, in a virtual setting. Please take a look at that website so that you can review some of our previous events, and we do offer those as a replay through our YouTube channel. So take a moment at your leisure to check out that website, find out what events that you may have missed, but you still have an opportunity to review. At this time, let me go ahead and give you a couple of quick tips before we get started tonight. If you need to adjust your audio settings, you can do so in the lower left corner of your screen by clicking the audio settings button. If you would like to adjust the size of your window, you can do so by clicking View Options in the upper portion of your screen. And lastly, but most importantly, this event is specially designed for you, and we are fully staffed and ready to answer your questions. Please send in your questions by clicking on the Q&A button at the lower portion of your screen. You can get those sent in. We will answer those either behind the scenes or during a live question and answer session at the end of this event. Once again, my name is Ricky Hill. Thank you again so much for joining us. At this time, it's my great pleasure to hand things over to my colleague, Edith.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. I'm excited to share a little bit more about the Guardian Scholars Program at UC Merced. Before that, I'd just like to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Edith Ramirez, and I serve as the Guardian Scholars Program Coordinator at UC Merced. And I've been in the position for almost 3 years and a half. And I'm also going to let my co-presenter, Alyssa Garcia, go ahead and introduce herself and then share a little bit about her role in the Guardian Scholars Program.
Hey y'all, so my name is Alyssa Garcia. I'm a fourth year psychology major and I'm a student coordinator for the Guardian Scholars Program. I mentor students and I've been in the position for about 2 years.
Great, thank you Alyssa for your introduction. That being said, I'm going to move on and start with the mission of our program, which is to provide a sustainable network of academic and personal support services at UC Merced that promotes degree attainment for youth that have experienced the foster care system and/or homelessness. And we strive to create a welcoming and inclusive space through programming and services designed to help scholars build community, identify their strengths, and utilize their resources. Just to share a little bit of program history, the program was actually established in fall 2013. Our programs and services are completely grant funded. So what that means is also the services that we offer to our scholars does depend on the funding. So the services that we'll cover today are going to cover the services that we currently have funding for. When the program first started in fall 2013, it actually started with just one program staff, which just included the program coordinator. Luckily, thanks to our grant funding, we currently have one program coordinator, which includes myself, and then 4 student staff, including Alyssa. So now I'm going to go ahead and start talking about our program services. Just so you all know, I'm going to share program services and then Alyssa will sort of provide the student perspective, having either received the services as a student in the program or having helped our scholars in the program receive some of the services that we'll talk about. We can move on to the next slide. So to start off, our scholars receive MoveIn packages during move-in day. And typically these are packages that are waiting for our scholars in their dorms when they actually move in. The packages are donated by the University Friends Circle. And the packages include items such as bedding, pillows, school supplies, detergent, plastic containers. The items do vary year by year depending on feedback that we receive from students, but they're really meant to help you all, have a fresh start and have some of the tools that you need and some of the resources that you need when you first move onto campus.
Yeah, so most of these things that are in the MoveIn packages are things that you use on the daily basis, like for example, detergent, school supplies, and bedding things. So it's really helpful because when you're a freshman, you don't really know what to buy for your dorm or what to buy for college in general. So it's super helpful when you already have some things to get you started and get going.
Perfect, thank you. And before we move on to the next slide, I would like to say too that we usually will communicate this with all of you. So once you have SIR to the university and you've indicated that you want to participate in the program, we will continue to communicate with you via email, and we will let you know the items that will be included in the packages so that you know that you will have those packages when you move on to campus and you don't have to worry about purchasing those items. Okay, we can move on to the next slide. Our scholars also receive priority registration. So for those of you that are maybe graduating from high school, this may not seem like a big deal to you all because you've had your classes, scheduled for you in the past, but when you transition into college, you are competing with other students to get into the classes that you need. So priority registration means that you essentially get to choose the classes that you need before the general student population. And this allows for you to have some flexibility. Say you want to have classes in the morning and maybe you want to work, in the evenings, because you have priority registration, you will have more say in terms of what your schedule looks like.
Yeah, so as Adit said, it is very competitive. Not only having priority registration like at a separate time is super helpful because you can plan ahead and create your own schedule, but it's also helpful so you don't have to deal with all the extra stress like other students have to face, dealing with the website crashing. You don't get into the class that you really need. It's super helpful so that way you stay on track and that you won't have to stay another semester because the classes are filled up. So it's super helpful. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Alyssa. So our scholars also, or I should say Guardian Scholars Program works closely with housing also to ensure that our scholars have a place to stay during gap periods. So that includes breaks such as winter and summer. In addition to that, our students also receive priority housing. So similar to priority registration, it does mean that you are essentially guaranteed housing on campus. So it is very important, and this is one of the reasons very important that you communicate early on with the program and indicate that you're interested in joining the program so that we are also able to communicate that with housing early on and they have your name and know that you are eligible to receive priority housing. Going back to what I mentioned earlier in terms of housing during gap periods, also what's something that's very exciting for you all, since this will be, your first year at UC Merced, housing will offer new year-round contracts available that will include the winter and summer breaks. So if you are a student that knows that you will need housing during those gap periods, there will be contracts available for you all to sign up for, which is something that is new to UC Merced. In addition, I think one of the questions that I often get is, does it matter if I'm a third or fourth year student? And no, it doesn't, regardless of what year you're in. So even if you're a transfer student and you are in the Guardian Scholars Program, if you need housing, you would still be eligible for guaranteed housing or priority housing, I should say, on campus.
Yeah, I personally have received this service myself during the gap period I needed to stay. And it was really great because I got to talk to Adith, and she was also, not only when you stay on campus, not only will you have a place to stay, but you also will have food. So it's either like through the pavilion or like on campus food, or we'll give you gift cards. Like we make accommodations to where if you are staying on campus through those gap periods and there's nobody or there's closed, we do make accommodations to give you gift cards or find a way so that you make sure that you're getting fed as well as having a house.
We also have a free lending library, which is available to our students. So our scholars are able to check out books that they need for the semester for free. And then after the semester is over, they're able to return them back. So that does save scholars a little bit of money if we have, books that they need for their classes. And a list of the books that we have available can be found on our CAT courses under files. So once you become a student under the Guardian Scholars Program, you will be added to our CAT courses where we send out a lot of announcements and we have a lot of important information on there. Also, we have a Burton Book Stipend available to eligible scholars. There are specific eligibility requirements that they have. So any of our scholars that are in the Guardian Scholars Program that are eligible will also receive an email from us letting them know that they're eligible and letting them know about the steps that they will need to take in order to receive the GSP, or sorry, the Burton Book Stipend. And then finally, we also have some limited GSP or Guardian Scholars Program book funds available that are available to all of our Guardian Scholars Program scholars. So there's no specific eligibility requirements. All of you will also receive an email about that. And there is a process for that where we will need you all to fill out a form probably by the first week of course of the classes. So again, all of that will be communicated to you via email, which I guess just as a sort of a reminder, it is very important that you all check your email so that you can receive all of this information. And then at the end of the presentation, you also will be able to find our Guardian Scholars account as well as my email in case you have any additional questions about any of it.
And also, if you buy any of the books and you're wondering like what to do with them, you can also add on to the lending library. We have it open to scholars, like if they want to donate books as well, not just us, the program donating books, but anyone can donate books as well. And super helpful because you can use that money for books and then as well as donate it as well, because you'll need different books. So it's easier to donate them and then other scholars can use them as well. So it's nice because we build community through that way of sharing books.
So another one of the services that we provide is that we offer a variety of workshops for our scholars. Typically, we focus on professional and personal development workshops. The topics of the workshops will vary semester by semester. This is also based on feedback that we receive at the end of the academic year, usually from our scholars, and also, the suggestions that they made about workshops that they'd like to see in the future. But just some examples of some of the professional development workshops that we did this semester. We had a graduate school series, which included a series of workshops on a variety of topics related to grad school, such as writing your personal statement, how to ask for a letter of recommendation, etc. We've also done things, this semester we did a career series where we also had a variety of workshops such as like salary negotiation, working on your resume and your cover letter. So there's, again, a lot of different workshops on a lot of topics. We also focus on personal development. So some examples of something that we did this semester, actually Alyssa hosted a cooking hacks workshop this semester. We also did a credit 101, and then typically we also have a workshop on imposter syndrome. So I guess, again, there's a variety of workshops and you will have some say in terms of the topics that you want to learn more about.
Yeah, and for the workshops, it will be the student coordinators as myself and my other coworkers putting them on. So it wouldn't be necessarily Adis putting them on. So it's kind of nice to have like that student one-on-one, because we're not really like we are teaching you things, but it's nicer because it's not like you're in class or anything. We're like teaching you a new skill or teaching you some new things, and it's pretty awesome because we're kind of around the same age and we're students as well. So it's nice to get more information from the same perspective.
So in addition to the socials, in addition to the workshops, we also put in socials every month. Typically in person, we do them once a month. So we'd have a total about between 3 and 4 socials per semester. Since we've gone virtual and we've been doing a lot of our program or all of our programming remotely, we've moved to doing 2 socials a month. The socials provide a fun opportunity for our scholars to connect with each other and de-stress. I know that that's important, regardless of whether we were virtual or not, but I think it's become particularly important right now that we're in a remote environment, because it provides an opportunity for you all to connect in a different way than maybe being in the classroom. And we try to obviously make them engaging. So we typically have games and activities in person, and even remotely, we've started to have some music, and there's also incentives involved most of the time. So for instance, we this semester, I think we did like a bingo night. So we had a few, gift cards for those that, won the bingo round. But the type of social does vary also semester by semester, or every month is different. And they're hosted by one of the student coordinators who take turns hosting those.
Yes. So there are also themes that go on. We try to make it as fun as possible. We do get a lot of good feedback that it is really helpful and de-stressful. It can be intimidating, maybe not virtually to go, but in person it may seem that way, but it's really super fun. And you have, like, I have fun and I'm, the one coordinating it. So I know like the students have fun and you get free food and you get to meet people and create that sense of community with the program. And then it becomes easier to keep going to these socials.
So another thing, and Alyssa has sort of touched on this, which is mentoring. We provide student coordinator meetings which are available to all of our scholars. And these meetings are really just designed to help scholars meet with the student coordinator to meet personal and academic needs. I think this is definitely Alyssa's area, so I'll let her expand on this a little bit more.
Yeah, so usually you make a meeting with one of the student coordinators. This time around, we've actually broken it down into cohorts. So my cohort was the 3rd, 4th, and transfer students. So usually we'd meet and it's not very intimidating at all. We just go through some things that we have to go through, some requirements, seeing if you're on track with the program. And then it kind of gets, it can get academic wise and also personal. Like sometimes you just need someone to talk to and you don't really know like what to go, or you're facing some kind of problem and you need help. Say for example, you need help with your financial aid, something happened and you don't know what to do. I can connect you with the right resources with that. Or if I don't have the right resource, I can make a note, and then when I meet with the Ds, I can be like, hey, one of the student really needs some help, and then she can help you that way. It's kind of nice because sometimes when you talk to staff, it's kind of scary and you don't know if they can help you or not, or you don't know like how to ask for help. So it's kind of nice that we get that one-on-one student mentoring, and then we kind of like create a bond. So it's kind of fun because not only like are you my mentee and I'm your mentor, but we're both students and we're both human and we all like have friends and stuff. So it's really nice to connect and stuff, and just to stop by and create those friendships. And then I can also direct people in like the right direction, or if they need help or they're wondering about grad school. We talk about all kinds of topics, so it's pretty cool.
Thanks, Alyssa. We also offer liaison services. So what that essentially means, and Alyssa touched on this a little bit right now, is that the Guardian Scholar staff will work closely with key departments and officials to make sure that students' needs are met with minimal difficulty. So I know I already spoke a little bit about housing and how we work really closely with their department to make sure that our scholars, have a place to stay during gap periods. And Alyssa just mentioned, financial aid. I think that's another office that we work really closely with, especially as you are transitioning to UC Merced. I know a lot of you, may have questions related to that. And, I am not a financial aid advisor myself, but I can refer you, as Alyssa said, to maybe the appropriate people or the appropriate, unit where you can get your questions answered. So we do that, we work very closely with other departments. So if at any point throughout your transition into UC Merced you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Again, our contact information will be at the end of the presentation, and we can make sure to connect you with the appropriate folks on campus that can answer those questions that you have.
Yeah, and also like I said, like we're here to help you. So maybe in person, if you really need help and you have no idea where to go, usually this would be the time, like during our meeting, I could like one of the student coordinators would actually take you there, just to make sure you know where it's at, and also to make sure who you're being connected with. That way we make sure you're getting to your resource, and that way you're not afraid as well. Like it's nice to go with somebody who also is familiar with like the department, or who's familiar with the person you're going to speak to. So it's pretty cool. And even if although we are virtual, it is still possible to, CC you in emails and make sure you're directly in contact with the right person you need to be with.
Okay. So through our program, we also provide emergency financial assistance. So our Guardian Scholars are eligible for emergency financial assistance on a case-to-case basis. So the example that I often give is, say that you're a student and that wears prescription glasses, and you obviously you really need them. They're important to you in order for you to maybe able to drive, or maybe if we're back in person, being able to see the lecture, read your notes, things like that. But say that they break, and you don't maybe have necessarily the funds to pay for your glasses, you would be eligible to apply for emergency funds through the program. And if you are accepted, then you would be able to receive the emergency funds to purchase your glasses. And that is money that you do not have to pay back to the program or to the university. The only thing that you probably have to do is just provide receipt or proof that you use the funds for the intended purposes. So that is one way that we can support you financially. Also, Guardian Scholars, you can, or all of our Guardian Scholars can also request assistance in a variety of different ways. So I know Alyssa mentioned this a little bit earlier, in terms of grocery cards. We do offer like emergency grocery cards if you are ever in need of those. Say again, you're having a difficult time maybe paying for groceries for a month, you can apply on our website, and we'd be able to provide you the grocery card. Again, you'd only have to submit the receipt, just proving that you use the funds for that. We also have a laptop loaner program. So if your laptop breaks down, or maybe you don't have a laptop for the semester, you can check out a laptop from our program and you can use it for the semester and then just return it when you're done. We already talked about the book assistance. For those of you that are maybe transfer students and are maybe a little bit closer to grad school, or if any of you are already thinking about grad school in the future, we also have some funds for that too, in terms of paying for maybe one of the exams that you have to take for grad school, or paying for your application. All of that information you can see that on our website. I know that we have other ones, and maybe I can't think of them right off the top of my head right now, but there's just some ways that you can provide assistance. One last thing that I just remembered too, currently we have a partnership with Foster Nation, specifically a program under them called Meal Nation, which provides 30 free meals for 30 days for any of our Guardian Scholars. So that is another way where you can receive support for you to fulfill those basic needs, in addition to, of course, a lot of the other resources that are offered on our campus to all of our UC Merced students. And I think this is one of the last things that we'll talk about in terms of services, and it's our Explore California trip. Of course, this does depend on COVID-19 guidelines. Unfortunately, we were unable to take this trip last year. But we do have an opportunity for all of our Guardian Scholars to explore an area in California each academic year. Typically happens during spring semester. In 2019, so March 2019, we had an opportunity to take some of our scholars to Monterey Bay Aquarium. Transportation, admission to the aquarium, as well as the tour and food were all included in the package. We usually try to use this as an incentive. So we do have program requirements, which we don't really talk about in this presentation, but you can learn more about what those are on our website. And we sort of use this as an incentive. So if you're a scholar that has completed all your program requirements, you become eligible to take this trip. Alyssa, do you want to share a little bit maybe about your experience during the trip, or any?
Yeah, so the student coordinators we also get to go on the trip as well. It's super fun. I feel like this is one of the great opportunities that the Guardian Scholars program offers, because it's a free trip. You don't have to pay to get there or anything. And it's super fun because you get to bond as a program, with the students and with the staff. So it doesn't seem as intimidating, if you're I don't know. I feel like at first it seems a bit intimidating, but once you start getting comfortable with your group of people and then the program, it's super fun. And it's not very strict. We don't have a strict itinerary or anything like that. You have to do this. We kind of let you go on your own and explore and everything. Of course, as long as you stay within the areas, but it's really fun. And I feel like it's a great opportunity because the students also get to choose where we go. So you don't just pick a place. We also make it universal so that, we make sure that we're trying to, give everyone the best of both worlds, that we pick a place that everyone would like to go. So it's super, super fun.
Perfect. So I know we've sort of talked about services already, but I also wanted an opportunity to share some of our annual programs. This is not an exhaustive list, but I think I chose the three that I think are most important to us. The first one is Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week, which we actually started this initiative this past November 2020. And it is a week worth of programming that we do. Our objectives are to create awareness around the issues and experiences of those that have experienced homelessness, and provide ways to get back to the homeless community, and provide resources and information to support the homeless community at and around UC Merced. So at the bottom, you can see some of the flyers that we did. We had a panel with folks in the community that work with those that have experienced homelessness. We also did sort of like a social media campaign to create awareness around Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. And we did like a movie night as well, where we watched a movie and we had a conversation, a discussion. So this is an initiative that we plan to continue until basically at UC Merced, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to collaborate with other folks or departments on campus that can help us spread the word around Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. Another one of our initiatives is Foster Youth Awareness Initiative, which for short we call FYM. We started this initiative in May 2019. So it's also a fairly new initiative, but one I think that we're very proud of. Our objectives are similar to Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week: to understand some of the experiences of foster youth, create awareness in Merced community and beyond, identify at least 2 ways to support the foster youth community, and create a sense of belonging among foster youth community at UC Merced. I do want to let Alyssa briefly share, since we are in the process of planning this, and there is an opportunity for all of you to attend one of our events. Many of you may have received information about this already, but I'm going to let Alyssa speak a little bit about our Visions of Foster Youth events coming up.
Yeah, so upcoming May for Foster Youth Awareness Month, we do like lots of things, and especially because we're virtual, we try to make it, as conventional, as universal as possible. Not only do we have like social media events and stuff like that, but we also have this very big social, like Adit said, it's called Visions of Foster Youth, excuse me. So with this, our whole goal of the social is to have students of other schools also be a part of this event. And so what we're going to do is have all the students make vision boards. So it creates like awareness about FYM, but also lets the students get to customize their own vision board. And if you all don't know what a vision board is, it's just kind of like a customary, we're going to do it online. So it's a slide, and then these slides are going to be uploaded to our FYM website. So we're gonna like display the students' artwork basically, but it's kind of nice because we're all gonna come together as a community. We reached out to other UCs, other CSUs, and other junior colleges to be a part of this. So it's really nice because we're creating awareness not only for UC Merced, but also, for foster youth awareness, like as a whole community in California. We wanna like invite everyone, part of all the foster youth programs as we can, to be a part of it, just so we can upload those vision boards to the website, and so that way everyone can see like the beautiful artwork that our students, like not only our students here, but our students across California, to be a part of that. So it's going to be really fun. So if you can join, I'm gonna be there. If you can join, please join, and if not, take a look at our website when you have the chance to look at some of the vision boards and some of the things that we got coming for Foster Youth Awareness Month.
Yeah, and if you want more information about that, sorry, before we move on to the slide, if you want more information about that, again, our contact information will be at the end, and you can also follow us on social media, specifically on our Instagram page. I think we will, share more information about how you can join and how you can participate, and the information for that is also at the end of the presentation. Okay. And then also we have our annual GSP ceremony, which this year we're also included into our Foster Youth Awareness sort of like week events. This event celebrates our graduating scholars every year through, and typically when it's in person, and we call it our GSP banquet because we're actually able to sit down and have a meal together. Again, unfortunately, because of COVID-19, we will not be able to do that, but we will still be celebrating our graduating scholars through a ceremony. Typically during the ceremony, our scholars will receive their Guardian Scholar stoles, and will be presented with, an award of recognition, recognizing them for, their accomplishments during their time at UC Merced. The event is usually also open to our other UC Merced Guardian Scholars. and a friend or two that, you know, our scholars want to bring. This one, because it's virtual, we're opening and we're allowing students to really invite anybody that is interested in joining. So we'll have the opportunity to celebrate with whoever they want to celebrate the day of.
This is also where they get their GSP stoles. So when you're part of GSP, the program, and then you get to graduation, you get some cool merch. I don't know if you can see there. They have like that white stole, you get that, and then you get some other cool stuff. But it's kind of nice because not only will you wear your UC Merced stole, but you'll get to represent, you know, GSP as a program, and you get recognized. And I think sometimes we don't really appreciate or like recognize yourself. So it's kind of nice because you're put on the spot and our whole program is there. Everyone who was there to support you is being there and you get recognized. So it's pretty awesome.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to eligibility and requirements. So in order to be eligible for the Guardian Scholars Program at UC Merced, you must be a UC Merced student or have submitted your SIR, and you must meet at least one of the following requirements. So resided in the foster care or guardianship by or before your 18th birthday, receive AB 12 funding, or eligible for the Chafee grant, or eligible for independent living services programs, and or experience homelessness. Just want to emphasize that you only have to meet one of the following. You do not have to meet multiple requirements. In order to sort of like apply officially to the program, there are 3 pieces of documentation that you do have to submit to us. The first one is a personal statement. The personal statement is 2 pages, double-spaced, and must speak about how your lived experiences have shaped your outlook on higher education. You also will need a letter of recommendation from anyone that can speak to how they think that you would benefit from being in the Guardian Scholars Program. And then the third piece is a verification that you meet one of the requirement or eligibility requirements that we spoke about in the previous slide. Documentation is due by the GSP orientation, which is our first requirement for all our incoming students to participate in. Typically that event will go over all the program requirements and our services. So you will receive some of the same information that you received today, but it will also cover our program requirements and our expectations for you being in the Guardian Scholars Program. And then it will also provide an opportunity for you to connect with the new students and to get to know the staff. That date is still to be determined, but it is typically the week before classes begin. So it's right before the beginning of the semester. And again, just as I mentioned earlier, it's very important that you check your email because all that information will be sent out via email and you will receive it early on. So you will know, a month or more in advance about when that date for the GSP orientation is. All that information is on our website, which is included in the last slide of the presentation. Here is our contact information. Again, my name is Edith Ramirez. And so my email is included here. And then you can also contact any of the student coordinators on the general Guardian Scholars account. So guardianscholars@ucmerced.edu. So for any general questions, you can email them. They check that regularly and they will be able to respond to your emails. Honestly, probably more quickly than if you email me directly. However, if there are questions or things that they cannot answer for you, they will make sure to email me. And like Alyssa mentioned, when they meet with me, they'll make me aware of the situation so then I can contact you directly to maybe answer questions that require a little bit more attention. So here is the link to our website. I believe it was put in the chat too. If you have any additional questions about anything that we talked about today, you can find the information there. You can check out and see the form where you can request assistance. There is also a section for prospective students. So I encourage you all to check out the website and look at the tabs underneath the prospective students, because you will be able to find more information about how you can apply to the program. You will be able to submit the documentation directly there as well. And you can also check out more information about the requirements if you have any concerns about that. So I highly, highly encourage you all to do that. For those of you that are also transitioning, there's also a section for resources. So I know earlier we mentioned, connecting you to the right person or the right department. So for many of the departments, we actually have sort of like a liaison for guardian scholars. So you will be able to find, a name for a specific person. So for instance, for financial aid, for scholarship, we work really closely with Lisa Silvera. So you will be able to find her information there. So if you want, more information about a specific person to contact in the departments that we work closely with, you can find that information on our website as well. And then here's also our social media website. We're active on Instagram and Facebook. So as I mentioned earlier, if you want to find out more information about our FEM and the events that you can already start participating in, please feel free to follow us there. And then also throughout summer, we will be doing events for our incoming students. So we'll be doing socials. We'll have an opportunity for you to connect with the student staff if you have any questions about, steps that you need to continue to take. So you can find more information about all of that through our social media as well. Alyssa, is there anything that you want to add before we complete the presentation?
I think we covered everything, but thank you all for being here. Like Adit said, if you have any questions, our website is really up to date. Look at the calendar. We have tons of events going on. There's lots of tabs. That's also where our FEM website will be uploaded as well. Reach out to any of the student staff, if you have any questions or concerns, but yeah, thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Alyssa. At this point, I will let Ricky take over.
Great. Thank you both so much. What a wonderful presentation, as always. So just a quick reminder, if our audience members do have questions, feel free to click on the Q&A button, send in your questions, and we will include those in this upcoming section here for the live question and answers. And also a quick reminder, since you do have that information on your screen for their contact, for the website, as well as social media, this would be a great opportunity to grab your smartphone, take a quick picture of that for future reference. And once again, if you do have questions, go ahead and get those sent over to us. One question that we have coming in, and maybe Edith, you can help us with this. Is it too late to apply to the program? And is there a specific deadline that someone should take note of?
Great question. It is definitely not too late to apply. You can, as I mentioned in the presentation, you can go to our website under the tab for prospective students. And I actually think we also have a quick tab where it says program application. So you can click on the program application and it will show you the list of documents that I talked about that you will have to submit. And then you can go ahead and directly submit the documents there. The documents will be due during our orientation over the day of our GSP orientation, which again typically happens this week before the semester begins. We have not determined a date, but all of that will be communicated to you via our email communication. So the sooner that you apply to the program, the better. Yeah, and if you have any additional questions, again, you can email the Guardian Scholars general account, or you can email me directly. And we will also have more information about the deadlines and things like that through our social media. So that's a really great way for you to receive more information too.
Great, thank you so much. So another question that we have coming in, is there an age requirement to join the program?
That's a great question. There is no age requirement for you to join the program. So regardless of your age, you are able to join the program. Also, I know this wasn't necessarily the question, but if for some reason you hear the presentation, you're like, maybe the program isn't for me this time around, you're also able to register or join the program at any point during your journey through UC Merced. I know that happens sometimes when our students or UC Merced students are maybe not aware of a program and they suddenly become aware that we exist, they're able to join. So you don't have to be a first-year student to join the program either. But we do encourage you to join early on so you can start receiving the benefits of our programs, from the beginning and from when you start.
Great, thank you so much for that. The next question is also related to requirements. So the question is there an in-care length requirement to join the program?
Also a great question. There is no in-care length or requirement for joining the program. So if you were, say you were part of the foster care system for a day, that means that you'd still be eligible for the program, again, regardless of how old you were when you experienced the foster care system.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. The next question we have, can transfer students join your program?
Yes, transfer students can join our program and are eligible for the benefits and services that we talked about, including our MoveIn packages. So I know sometimes our transfer students opt to not live on campus since they don't have the 2-year live-in requirement. But oftentimes they still need, many of the things included in the MoveIn packages. So our transfer students will receive those regardless of whether they decide to live on campus.
Great. Thank you so much once again. So is there a living requirement to actually living on campus? Is that a requirement of the program?
Nope, you do not have to live on campus to be part of the program. Although again, if you are first year coming into campus, my understanding is that there is, a living requirement for you to live on campus. But then if you opt to move off campus, your 3rd or 4th year, you would still be eligible to receive all the services of the Guardian Scholarship Program.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And once again, just a quick reminder to the audience, go ahead and send in those questions using the Q&A button. You can go ahead and get those sent in and we will include those before we start to wrap up this event. Also, another quick reminder, this is a good opportunity to grab your smartphone or do a screenshot of that current screen that you are seeing that does include the social media information. Here's another great opportunity for you to go ahead and take a screenshot or once again, use your smartphone to take a quick picture so that you do have that contact information handy. I will go ahead and leave that one up here for just another moment. And let's go ahead and take a look here. We do have another question coming in. Is there a specific location or building that the GSP meets on campus, such as the Student Services Center or someplace else?
Okay, so our office currently is located in the Bright Success Center, which is in the Collegian Library building. We're part of, again, a larger center. So that is where we're currently located. And without, I guess, sharing too much, there is a possibility that we may be moved to a different space, but that is our current space, our official space as of right now. In terms of like meetings with scholars, I'm not sure if that's what you were referring to. We do provide, so I currently have an office. Students can meet with me there, if we do go back to in person. And then in terms of the meetings with the student staff, they have the option of meeting with the student staff in the office, or sometimes those students can reserve spaces on campus where they can have a private meeting elsewhere, or you can also opt to maybe have, go take a walk or have a conversation with students there. I hope that answers your question.
Like all of our channels at UC Merced, it's always a great place to get updated information. I know for the admissions channels, we offer great contests and other dates and deadline updates. So it's always a good way for us as the university and specific departments on campus for us to reach out to you in a live fashion and get you that critical information right away. So make sure that you do take a look at those. All right, at this time, I would like to just give a big thank you to our presenters, as well as all of our audience members for joining us this evening for this Guardian Scholars Program event. This has been part of a larger series called Become a Bobcat Virtual Series. And part of what that has included is over 40 different virtual events, just like this one. If you haven't been able to have that opportunity to join us over those past couple of weeks, please take a moment to look at the Become a Bobcat, a Virtual Series website. We are offering all of our events by recording, so you do have that on-demand replay option through the YouTube channel that we offer in the admissions office. So make sure you take a look at Become a Bobcat website and take a look at all of those replays. So you definitely don't want to miss out. We have covered a lot of different topics during these events, including housing options, dining, transportation. Financial aid is obviously a very popular one right now as you're preparing to come in the fall. So definitely make sure you take a moment to check that out. One last opportunity I would love to share with you is drive-through tours. That's right, you're hearing that correctly. It is a drive-through tour. You get to drive to our campus, and from the comfort of your car, you get to take a look at our beautiful new buildings, our campus, our landscaping, everything that is there that we offer. Also, while you're there, we do have a map for you with several different tour stops. You can scan a QR code and get a live video from one of our tour guides, our current Bobcats, sharing their perspective, all of the fun facts and figures about our beautiful campus. So please take a look at that website as well. Get yourself registered for one of those dates that are upcoming. The dates and times are available on the website. Once again, this has been a great pleasure to join you this evening. We thank you so much for joining us and taking a time out of your evening. We hope to see you again at a future admissions event. Take care and have a wonderful night.